Hey, tech enthusiasts. Welcome to FocustChats, the ultimate blend of technology, fun, and education. I'm Becky Faith, your host on this thrilling ride. At FocustApps, we're all about the game-changing power of tech. And with FocustChats, we're handing you the tools to rock it. Let's get focused. Welcome to FocustChats. I am your host, Becky Faith. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Rich Conor of Lockstock Cybersecurity. Rich is here to share his expertise on cybersecurity and how businesses can protect themselves in today's digital landscape. Thank you for joining us, Rich.
Thanks, Becky.
Before we get started, I wanted to give our audience a taste of Rich's background and a proper introduction. Richard Conor, aka Rich, is a president of Lockstock Cybersecurity located in Louisville, Kentucky. Rich's career is a testament to the power of continuous learning and adaptability. Starting as a police officer at just 20 years old, Rich protected communities all around New Jersey. His passion for problem solving led him to pursue mathematics, earning advanced degrees, and becoming a professor at prestigious institutions like Rider and Rowan universities. As the digital landscape evolved, so did Rich's career. He transitioned into cybersecurity, applying his analytical skills to protect organizations from emerging threats. His expertise is recognized through multiple certifications, including Certified Information Systems Security Professional, Certified Information Security Manager, and Certified Information Systems Auditor, and many more. Today, Rich leads Lockstock Cybersecurity, combining his law enforcement background, mathematical prowess, and cybersecurity expertise to tackle complex digital challenges. Thank you again for being with us, Rich. Very
Thank you.
impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, let's get started and let's start with the basics.
Sure.
Can you explain in simple terms what cybersecurity compliance is and why it is so important for businesses?
Sure. So cybersecurity is typically thought of a bad guy trying to get into your system and do bad things and hacker stuff and all that cool stuff.
Right.
But nobody really believes that that's going to happen to them.
That's true.
That's one of the common misconceptions. This can't really happen. This can't happen to me. People don't go into their car in the morning thinking, "Man, I'm going to get into a car accident today. Something bad is going to happen."
Mhm.
What we're learning about cybersecurity is that the bad things happen to someone else that we're working with, and we are affected by them. We're unable to do business in a way because we're using a platform, we're using a tool, and also our users' data is being involved with that as well, and they're being affected.
Mhm.
So, why it's important is so that no matter what happens either within your company or outside the external, your company is still able to deliver to your customers.
Now, I couldn't help to notice when I went out and looked at your website, all of your certifications that you have. And I just want to know, why are these certifications important to the cybersecurity world and what do they mean to your clients?
Well, thank you for picking up on that, noticing that. That's why they're there. They are hooks. They're to grab your attention, to let you know, to at least some degree, that I am someone who is accredited, who has experience in these areas. Um, Ending it there, it needs to be more than that, though, and I'm going to go into that.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the show Silicon Valley?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, there's a character called Peter Gregory.
Yes.
Okay, he plays a stereotypical Silicon Valley tech CEO,
Hmm.
and I believe the intro to him is him giving a TED talk, and he goes, Jobs, Gates, Ellison, all of these people dropped out of college.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he says that college is a joke and it's a way of taking advantage of people. And someone in the crowd goes, "You're telling lies. You're a dangerous person. Uh, you should be ashamed of yourself," kind of thing.
Right.
I think about that a lot when I think about tech because there are a lot of people in tech that are self taught and they are amazing at what they do. So when we're talking about certifications, I say it's with a grain of salt. You can have someone who's very good at getting certifications, and
Right,
that's
that's
it.
right,
That's
that's
where
right.
it ends. So there's the certifications. I worked hard to get them. It required having some baseline knowledge, but beyond that, I'm taking those study guides as desk manuals. I use them as reference guides for the work that I do quite often.
But a lot of it is experience.
A lot of it is experience. So, like I mentioned before, that they're hooks. Those are hooks for you to go further down the website path to look at my case studies to see what I've actually done.
Yes,
And when dealing with people with in a highly certified type of industry, it's good to check them both.
absolutely. I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. It's clear that Lockstock and you take cybersecurity very seriously. Can you walk us through your approach to helping businesses, your process, and for their their cybersecurity needs? How you go about doing that?
For sure. If I have someone that is reaching out to me, there's typically for uh, today it's for a few reasons. I mentioned it's not so much we're afraid we're going to get attacked. It's more so that they have a compliance need. It's more so that they've had an audit that occurred recently and they have findings that they need to address. They have an upcoming audit, or they want to do business with someone that has cybersecurity requirements that they're not meeting at the moment. And that can be an existing customer as well. The existing customer of theirs has new requirements that need to be fulfilled. So the engagement with a prospect or client is asking some very high level questions about what that situation is and what their goals are. What is your business? How does changing, adding on cybersecurity, how might that affect business? Asking very high level questions, getting to know each other, getting to know, again, just grounded in that business. Then I will do like a baseline business understanding assessment. How many employees do you have? What's your cybersecurity posture at the moment? Those are very standardized. I update them constantly to make sure that I'm asking those questions. Sometimes I'll have a conversation with someone and they will ask me something. I'm like, that's a great question. I add that to the assessment as well. And then a typical engagement will involve a very granular, focused on cybersecurity and compliance assessment that is typically grounded, it's always grounded, in fact, in some framework. And the one I use is NIST. NIST is a federal organization that has a family of cybersecurity controls called the NIST 853 family of controls. Any assessment I do is grounded in that, and a lot of the compliance regulations are built off of that anyway. So through that discovery of what compliance is current and what compliance might be coming down soon, the assessment is tailored in that way. And that way, when that assessment's done, that is used as a deliverable back to the client, so they have that available to analyze themselves and look at that, start coming up with a strategy, or hand that over to an auditor.
That's interesting, and I think that that probably makes the customer feel very comfortable that you're organized and you have this process and you're laying it out in front of them, and then all along answering questions and also getting to know that customer better through that process as well.
Right. Exactly. It helps me understand the customer, what their goals and needs are. But also, the intention is that there's going to be an auditor that looks at these things, and auditors are looking for those detailed and organized processes. And that's my unique value proposition, is that the things that I'm doing are going to help you achieve great success on your audit, and it's going to be very efficient.
Very important, very important to have. Okay, very good. Let's talk about your target markets. What type of businesses do you typically work with, and how do you approach the unique challenges of the different industries?
It's a great question. So the immediate answer to that is highly regulated industries typically have highly regulated cybersecurity requirements. However, that's becoming more universal because of the challenges that people are seeing. They're being affected by someone else being attacked. So these industries are quickly saying, we need to do something. We need to make sure that whoever we're working with isn't going to be the weakest link in our chain. So you have healthcare, we have HIPAA, we have high trust, we have all of these regulations that have been built over time to respond to that very sensitive data, high impact industry. We're now seeing that in manufacturing, in of course across government, insurance, all types of different industries. So I'm finding myself more and more industry agnostic, looking for niche opportunities to be for Lockstock to be the industry, in parentheses rather, like fill in the blank cybersecurity company
Right.
that you need to call.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So FocusApps, for instance, you guys do software development, you do business services. And the reason that we started engaging is because you guys had a client, you had a prospect that had cybersecurity requirements that were a level up from where your baseline was.
Yes.
hmm
Yep.
And that particular industry, by the way, is not considered a highly regulated industry, but it's
Should be.
quickly it
Yes.
is becoming one.
Yes.
In fact, the there are governing bodies like the FTC that are saying that if your industry looks like another industry, then you actually are that industry in a way. You need to have the same cybersecurity requirements that this one does. Case in point is, in particular, is a bank. A bank is known to be highly regulated, high cybersecurity requirements. Well, there are companies and industries that work like banks. For instance, have you bought a car recently?
Yes.
Okay, and when you bought that car, you showed up with your suitcase full of money and you bought your car. Nobody does that, right?
Right.
Very few people do that, and kudos to them if they are, because
Right.
that's for them. No, you're going over to the finance guy,
Right.
and you are giving them your social security number. You're giving them your date of birth. They are running a credit check on you. How is that data being handled? How is that car
Right.
dealership making sure that that doesn't get compromised, and if it does, how are they going to respond to it? So the FTC is saying, you're not a car dealership, you're a bank.
That makes sense.
In a way, you're a
Yeah,
bank
I get
like
it. Oh, yeah,
institution. So
absolutely.
you need to do the same stuff that a bank is doing. You need to have monitoring, you need to have alerts, you need to have a security expert who is leading your program.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so really to your credit, almost every business as you get to
Every
that point,
industry.
every industry needs to have cybersecurity in place and be compliant. And understand it. More importantly, just understand what you need to do to protect yourself and your customers, because a lot of that is information that you're giving
I'll
them
expand
too.
that even further. You want to be up and running all the time. You do
Yeah.
not want to have something else that can bring you down. You want to have a plan. You want to have a backup plan so you can continue to do business and serve your customers. That's what cybersecurity achieves for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Thank you. For our listeners out there who might be considering partnering with a cybersecurity firm, what should they look for when choosing a cybersecurity partner?
We've covered some of those things, but let's reiterate. Trust, number one. You want to have that established relationship. You want to have very open communication, especially since we're talking about things that are bad. Like no one wants to go to their parents and tell them that they did a bad thing or something bad is happening. It's always, everything's good. Everything you taught me, I'm implementing and everything's working great.
Right.
So that continues into adulthood and other relationships. You don't ever want to tell someone things are going bad. And this industry, the business I do involves things that aren't going well.
Yeah.
So making sure the client feels like they can trust their cybersecurity partner is very, very important.
Yes.
Someone who is trustworthy, someone who's invested in your business,
Mhm.
not just like there to be another what they call cost center. It's just
Right.
another
Someone that
expense.
truly cares
Somebody cares and
about
wants
your
to bring
business.
you to the next level of your
Right.
business. Wants to
Right.
whatever your goals are. Let's focus our cybersecurity to achieve those goals.
Very good.
Clear communication. Is this person talking in jargon?
Right.
Things that this is a very complex and it's a big unknown for most people. They're not thinking about this the same way that I am. I love this stuff. Most people
Hmm.
don't.
Right.
It gets very complex very quickly. Is your partner talking in jargon that you don't understand? You kind of want to understand, and there are some buzzwords in there that. But how does it all come together?
Yeah.
How, how's that all connected? Does it make sense to you?
Making
It,
it simple for
it
them.
has to be very simple so that you can make decisions, and no, there shouldn't be forced any force involved there. Someone who is a leader of a company should receive a message from your cybersecurity partner and know exactly what that means and what to do next. So clear communication.
Okay.
And I think we already covered this, just a
Yeah.
partnership approach. Again, that
Absolutely.
empowering
Yeah.
thing. And also it's good to have your cybersecurity partner, just like any partner that you're working with, they should be well connected as well.
Hmm.
And cybersecurity in particular, we're problem solvers. So you should be able to go to your cybersecurity partner and say, "Hey, I've got this problem. It's outside of your scope, but do you know how? Do you know how to help here? Do
Right.
you know anyone who can help me?"
Yes.
Again, back to those relationships, partnership, etc.
Very good. Very good. With remote work becoming increasingly common, how do you recommend businesses handle security in this new environment?
Yeah, it's hard. It's a very challenging problem because it can get expensive very quickly. You need to the first thing is have an explicit bring your own device policy, which everyone has an implicit bring your own device policy. If
Right.
you can use your device to connect to the company email network, anything like that, you've got a policy. You might not have it explicitly, but you got something.
Right.
If you don't have anything, then it's a really open policy, and you can have people doing things that you might not want them to be able to do, and not just them, but if someone compromises one of your users, you don't want them to have the ability to do very much. So always back to the basics, strong passwords, make force your users to use a VPN,
Okay.
things like that. That's the basics. But you should really, if you're going to have people using connected to your network, either using your device that you have managed under control, like your physical laptop, issuing a laptop that you have control over,
Hmm.
or creating something called a virtual desktop infrastructure. So
Okay.
this is something that some people have seen before. Microsoft Intune. There are other things that have VDI in the name, but it's where you would go into your regular computer and then you'd have to open up a browser or some other program to go do your actual work. And you can't copy and paste from your work environment back to your regular computer environment.
I would bet that a lot of companies are not doing that or know to do that. I mean, some, yes, most probably some are, but it is a change and a challenge with the remote work and thinking outside the box of, okay, we got to make sure, especially since they're not in the office and we can kind of monitor it.
One of the approaches is just telling their employees, you're not allowed to do this. You're
Right.
not allowed to do your work unless you're connected to the VPN. And
Okay.
that's not sustainable in any way.
Right.
Cybersecurity, true cybersecurity, is forcing people to do the right thing because it would be too difficult to do the wrong thing. And it's very easy to not use a VPN, so that's not a solution.
Right. Right. Very good. We all need to be on top of that for sure.
Yeah.
Can you share some insights on the importance of continuous monitoring of your cybersecurity? Maybe you get started, but that's not it. You got to continue to do it, and why?
Well, you can detect threats very quickly and be able to make informed decisions off of what you're detecting. So that's the first reason. Real time visibility can also help with those informed decisions and responding to incidents quickly. Operational efficiency. If you're continuously monitoring your systems, you can look for opportunities to automate things because you can see where things are not working as intended. They're taking too long, a lot of manual entry, a lot of manual things. Look for automation, make the computer do the work. You should always make the computer do the work. If the computer can do the work, then make the computer do the work.
Right,
Yeah,
right, and that's what you want it to do.
it's
You
what
don't
you
want
want
it
it to
to
do.
be manually
Yeah.
done.
Hmm. And through continuous monitoring, we can also make sure that our security policies, they are pushed through consistently, and we can do anomaly detection for where they are not. It's for resilience. This is all about cybersecurity is all about resilience, and if you are continuously monitoring how things are going, again, there's kind of walking on top of each other. Early detection of when things are going wrong, so you can respond to it quickly. That's the bottom
Absolutely.
line.
Absolutely. Do you have a lot of businesses that that think, okay, once I implement this,
Many,
that's it?
all the
And
time. In fact,
okay,
there are cybersecurity certifications, and I have this covered in the common misconceptions. But there are many certifications that are point in time certifications
love
that
that.
says today your cybersecurity is good because we did an audit. What about tomorrow?
Right. You never know when it's going to
What,
happen.
what, what was glued together to make it so that you could pass that audit, to
Right.
pass that assessment? What'd you glue together to make things look good today that you're going to abandon tomorrow to get back to normal operations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we definitely need to. We want to encourage businesses to continue to do that, to continue monitoring. It's
Right.
very,
And,
very
and again, we want to do this using automated tools and using things like machine learning
mhm.
and even before that, just some rules based things to say this is normal activity and this is abnormal activity. So just having some basic monitoring procedures in place can
It's
be
better
very,
than nothing.
it's better than
Better
nothing.
than nothing. Many of our listeners are business owners or managers of businesses. Or how crucial is employee training and education in maintaining strong cybersecurity?
Great question. If we look at the history of breaches, which is published by the FBI and other agencies, the human element is always one of the top reasons that a breach occurs. So, what do you do about that? There are a couple things you can do. You can fix the human error. You can fix the human element, or you can create something that compensates for the human element. Both are valuable, but I'd say that you're going to get a lot more value out of the latter, which is the compensating, because some humans just
Well, we
they
don't know, probably. We don't
no,
realize that
right.
we're doing
Well,
it.
it's a funny thing. If you look at phishing campaigns, a lot of people have participated in
Mhm.
these phishing campaigns, and what those are simulations of receiving a phishing email. And the email looks like it's from the someone in the company, and there's some link for you to click.
Right.
Okay,
Absolutely.
like
I've
here,
had them. I know.
yeah, here, take a look at the SharePoint document that I have here, and it's fake. And when you click on the document, it's like, you failed the phishing simulation. Please report to training.
Yeah.
And I've participated in enterprise wide versions of these things. And what we found is that clickers are clickers.
Right. Right. Just going along and you're just right.
They've gone to training 10 times and nothing changes. So rather than that happen, why don't we have a bad email like that come in and have something else pick that up on that's a bad thing
Absolutely.
and
Ab
respond to it so it doesn't end up in the hands of your end user.
Yeah.
Make it so that your end user is difficult to compromise. If someone were to call, if I were to call you and disguise my voice and say, hey, I'm calling from FocustApps IT partner,
Right.
and I need to access your system. Okay, you're like,
Mhm.
okay, great. And I've tricked you into giving me your username and password.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be good enough for me to access your system, because once I'm in there, I can now escalate my privileges and go into one of FocusApps databases and close it down, lock it down completely, and you won't be able to access, say, your CRM. I could go into
Right.
your CRM, it's gone. You don't know who your clients are, nothing. It's all gone.
Right.
I shouldn't even be able to make that call and get in so easily just using your username and password. You should have multi-factor authentication for that.
Absolutely.
There should be other things that go in and detect, well, Becky, what's Becky doing over here at this database? She's never over at this database. Why is she making a copy of our database?
Right.
kind of
Right.
situation. So having tools and again, going back to continuous monitoring in place to prevent the human element from even being a factor. So yes, training is great, but
Hmm.
it doesn't end there. You need to think about, okay, well, here's one way that things can go wrong. Okay, that fails. What's next? What's the next toll gate that an attacker needs to go through? And
Yeah.
making it so that it's very difficult or time consuming for an attacker to achieve what he's trying to do.
Yeah. I agree. I've had the human experience of you know realizing that it's phishing, and then other times not. Actually took the bait.
Well, it's getting way
Yes.
better, especially
Yes.
through AI.
Yeah.
Um,
Good.
we have existent. No, 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 bad.
Oh, well, I mean, like with AI, I mean,
No, no, no,
yeah.
bad.
Oh,
No,
oh, really?
I mean
Okay.
it's getting the attacks are getting way better.
Oh,
The
okay.
phishing
Okay.
emails are getting way better. They're
Oh,
looking better.
oh, okay. I see what you. Okay. Okay.
So what used to happen is you could pick up on a phishing email because there was misspellings and there were other things that were very
Yes.
obvious that would
Yes.
say, no, this is our IT team sending me some simulation, or it was something that I know this is junk, this is spam, whatever.
Right.
Through AI, those initial phishing emails are better.
Okay.
They look completely
They look more
legitimate. They
professional.
look
They look just
professional. They
like
look legitimate.
it.
They're making it look really good. First of all, second of all, through AI and combining that with other techniques, it's not just one email. It becomes a series of emails and communications of building trust and getting a user to do something. There's a scam called a pig butchering scam. Terrible.
My God.
I can't remember the talk show host, but he did a thing on this, and he told this exact story that I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So someone, and I'm going to paraphrase this a bit. So someone receives a text message saying, "Hey John, how's it going?" Only the recipient's name wasn't John, it was something else. And he's like, "This isn't John. See you later." Wrong number. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was trying to reach out to John because I've got another Bitcoin deal, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
And he's like, and the scammer's like, "Would you be interested in something like that?" And it begins, and that conversation goes back and forth, and it just kept snowballing, snowballing, snowballing until
Yep.
the recipient of the text message, the person who was being pig butchered,
Mm-hmm.
is the CEO of a bank and used $50 million of the bank's
Oh.
money to invest in this investment and went into the pocket of this scammer, and the bank went out of business.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I
Mhm.
just. That's crazy. I hadn't heard that, so I think
The
people need
human,
to know about it. People need to
yeah,
know. You
the
know.
human element just there needs to be more layers to detect behavior that's not expected.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Very good. Um, in your experience, and this is kind of a little bit of what we did, a few minutes ago, but what are some common misconceptions about cybersecurity that you frequently encounter?
We are too small to be attacked.
Yep.
That's not true. In fact, because you're small, that probably doesn't mean you have an IT team. Probably means you don't have a cybersecurity team. You are an
You're more
easy
than
target.
likely.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
easy.
are more than likely the one. Yeah,
And what's too small anyway?
yeah.
How much? How much is if someone were to scam you for $100,000? Would that be a problem or not? Is
Oh, yeah,
$100,000 not a lot of money to someone?
it's a lot
Maybe.
of
Is it a
money.
lot of money to someone? Yes.
Yes,
Consider
yes,
that $100,000 might be a lot of money to someone.
yeah,
A typical business, just a business in general, even a small business, $100,000 would be significant.
yes, very significant.
So
Like just
thinking that
starting out, even as
just
a
starting out even,
whatever, like a
yeah,
restaurant or retail or something
gone,
like
taken
that.
from your bank account, gone forever. The bank
Yep,
cannot help you.
yep.
So that's a big misconception. Compliance is equal to security. It's the same thing,
Okay.
and that's not. It doesn't end there. That's when we talk about the relationships and working with a partner. They should be looking at your goals and finding out. okay, here's where compliance ends, and here's some things that you need to do because compliance is just not
I
it's just not
got
on their radar yet, and they don't understand your goals the same way as this is kind of like a blanket baseline kind of thing.
you. Mhm.
So it's usually compliance plus some
So,
security equals security, not
right.
just compliance.
Okay.
IT equals security. That's one of my biggest objections. Oh, we don't need your services because we got a great IT team. It's like,
Right.
okay, well, how do you know? When was the last time you assessed them on their cybersecurity?
Yeah.
That's a common misconception. IT can help with setting up the environment and even putting in cybersecurity policies, but holistically, there tend to be gaps. It doesn't necessarily mean security, bottom line.
Right.
We have a firewall, we're good. Still comes up.
More. You need more.
Still comes up. Yeah, it's overlooking some basic principles of, okay, well, you got a firewall. But what happens if someone compromises one of your users and logs in and gets on the other side of your firewall? Your firewall does nothing,
Right.
serves no
Right.
purpose because you have a user that's on the other side, a compromised attacker on the other side of it.
And that happens a lot.
Happens a lot. We've never been attacked before.
More than likely, I mean, nowadays, especially, it's so, there's a lot
It's
of, you
right.
know,
It's not as high of as a misconception before, but it still pops up.
yeah.
I'd say here's one of the big ones that is coming up more than ever that logically doesn't make any sense, but nonetheless, through marketing other things, we're in the cloud. Everything's fine.
And we talked about this. You and I have talked about this,
Yeah.
and you said absolutely that this is need security even more with that.
Complexity is the enemy of security. As things become more complex, there are more things that can go wrong, and the cloud is a very complex environment. Now, there are all kinds of tools available in the cloud to help secure your environment, but you have to make sure that they're working.
Right.
It becomes very complicated.
And you need
My
someone knowledgeable that can help them,
well,
companies like that,
sure,
right?
absolutely, but migrating to the cloud, which is very supported, huge companies with lots of money, does not mean that your stuff is necessarily secure
Okay.
within that cloud environment. Same kinds of things. If your user is compromised in your cloud environment, you're still compromised. What else? Tools. We have cybersecurity tools. Again,
And
they're not.
what does that mean, you
What
know?
does that
I
mean?
mean,
Are they working as intended? Are there
right.
processes in place? Are you auditing them? Are there logs? So that's another misconception. And another, maybe less so misconception, but common mistake of a company is uh, just ignoring the basics. Like putting a bunch of tools and things in there, really cool, and AI and machine learning, and they aren't doing access control audits. They don't really think about, Becky has moved from business development. She's gone from business development to software development, which is in your cards, right?
Mhm. Yes.
You're doing this next year. You
No.
moving to software development? No, probably not. But this happens where someone's working in a company and they either change roles or they get promoted. And
Right.
when they get promoted or change roles, they should have access to some of the things that they were working on before.
Mhm.
It shouldn't just be like, well, I move up in the company, I just get more and more
Right. So
access.
I'm still gonna go back
It
and
should
get
be
that.
you should have access to the things that you're doing with your work, leaving
Okay.
stuff out there just
I
hanging,
didn't even
not
think about
monitored. Yeah, right. People don't think about that. So
Mhm.
again, think about those basic things.
Very good. That's great information. Um, we hear a lot about AI, a whole lot about it these days. And what role does artificial intelligence play in modern cybersecurity?
Yeah, it kind of goes into this vicious cycle. So attacks are becoming more sophisticated through AI. So what do? You use AI to defend against the sophisticated attacks. You use AI to defend the AI.
Wow.
Skynet, the whole thing. Who knows? But
Right.
they're all types of tools are using AI to make their products and services better. I'm doing that as well. Even
Okay.
though I'm doing very holistic things, I will use AI to make sure the gaps are filled, to make sure that I'm not missing anything, to make the life of the user easier.
Okay. It's like layers,
That's right.
basically. They've already got, yeah. And then you're adding the spaces that they're not thinking about. You're going in and taking care of that. So they're all the way. Yeah. Everything is secure.
That's right. So I wrote a program using the OpenAI, what do they call that, API.
Okay.
So I wrote a program using the OpenAI API that I can type in the name of a company, and ChatGPT can go out and tell me all the details about that company, what year it was founded, how many employees it has, based upon, I tell it where to look for that information, how many
Hmm.
employees it has, where its company headquarters are, and then I will say, okay, based upon the company name that we gave to you and the information you spat back at me, the industry and all those other things, give me 10 of their most likely business processes.
Okay.
And that provides me with a baseline, but not just me, but the user. So I do an assessment that's called a business impact analysis. And the business impact analysis takes an inventory of your business processes.
Okay.
So going back to FocustApps, what does FocustApps do? Well,
Right.
FocustApps, they acquire customers, they send bills to customers, right? Just like
Hmm.
pretty much any
Yes.
other company.
Right.
They also build mobile apps, they build software apps, they do business processes associated with those activities
Hmm.
that, you know, uh, any type of large language model could infer.
Right.
Now, that would take some of the work out of us. I don't need to ask you, what is FocusApps software development? What's one of their business processes? I don't need you to write down with a pen or a keyboard that you develop software. It's like,
Right.
of course you develop software, and we're going to use a computer to help us reduce that step. So AI can be used for that. It can help with the automated, or I should say, continuous monitoring. AI can help with continuous
Okay.
monitoring. It can help with automated actions. So
Okay.
something happens that doesn't make sense and is categorized based upon the totality of the circumstances as something that creates additional risk. Well, we can use AI to do something about that. Close something down, remove a connection, get alerts sent to it, put more resources onto it.
That's great.
Those kinds of things.
Okay. That's amazing. Very good.
It's fun stuff.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it is. That's really cool. Since you are our cybersecurity partner at Focused Apps, can you share some insights on the process of securing our company and the benefits we've seen or will see?
absolutely. So we've looked at the entire company just the way that I mentioned. What are your business processes? What do we need to do to make sure that they are up and running? Do we have Is it really easy for a user to access their HR portal? How are they doing that? Do they have to use separate login, username, and password? Or can they just use their main Focus Apps account that they're using business? How are we making sure that that person is who they say they are? So things like, we've got good passwords, make sure your passwords are good across the board, making sure that we're using a password manager, making sure that we are doing multi-factor authentication. So making it so that when Becky is doing her work, she only has to
Mhm.
log in one place and we definitely know it's you.
Right.
Makes
Very
sense?
good.
And you
Yes.
can do all the things that you need to do with minimal logins and things like this, and you have assurance that your stuff is secure. So things like that, and making sure to fill in all those gaps, making sure that it's just very easy for your everyone at Focus Apps to do their job, and make it very difficult for them to do something wrong.
Hmm.
So Focus Apps develops software, so we focused a lot of our attention on maturing from a security perspective your development lifecycle. You guys already make really good code, write really good code, and build really good products. How can we make that better and remove any possibility of things breaking? So our the security measures we've done, now you have fewer bugs and errors coming through your development cycle. You have stable releases. When you release something new, you don't have to worry about, like, well, the old one worked, the new one doesn't.
Right. Okay. Hmm.
Your code has integrity. We know that someone can't just inject something in there to make it go wrong. Um, you ever go into a login screen? You ever just go somewhere, let's say Facebook. Facebook has a
Hmm.
username and password.
Hmm.
There, if a site is built incorrectly, if a web application is built incorrectly, you could type in a special set of characters into the username and hit enter. And on the screen, it will display all the usernames and passwords of the entire system.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, your developers already knew how to write good code,
Hmm.
but we're making sure that that will never happen because we have automated tools to make sure that that would never happen. We would never push code that would make a web app that would succumb to that type of vulnerability. You have high quality code that results in high performing applications. Again, they're up all the time, they're always working as intended.
Yes.
You have the agility to meet any new compliance requirements. So we already have a baseline set of requirements that
Hmm.
if we had new requirements come in, no problem. We already understand how to handle this. We'll just add this in. No issue whatsoever. If
Okay.
you work in a client that has they're in a particular industry or they have a particular partner that says we need when if you're building software for us, it needs to be this
Hmm.
way. No problem. We already know how to do that. You have efficient instant response. If something does in fact go wrong, you already know
Hmm.
everything about it and you know what to do in case those things happen. And you have automated tools in place to respond to those things. You build software faster now,
Okay.
less bug handling. We have automated tools in place to make sure that those things don't pop out. They're already handled as the developer is writing their code. Um, Reduced rework. We don't have to go from develop to test, back to develop, back to test, back to develop, back to test, and
That's
UAT, then back to test. Those
valuable. So valuable.
these things, it's happening in real time to make sure that we develop software, it goes to test, they do their thing, and gets released. Let's see, minimize risk of breaches, optimize resource allocation. So when you're developing software, you need to have things that are running it, either servers or something in the cloud. We are also keeping a pulse on writing software in the way that reduces the use of spinning up big machines that are cost your
Right.
customer more money.
Right.
Positive brand image. As you're going into and talking to prospects and clients, you can assure them we have cybersecurity policies
Yes.
and procedures, and we make sure that we secure your data.
Yeah. Very happy to do that. We get asked that,
Yeah.
you know.
And you have um, so that and that differentiates you from other competitors that you have. They don't have security as top of mind. They're just kind of doing things the old way and hope and a
Very
prayer.
dangerous.
Yeah. And also when you are partnering with clients, since you're doing cybersecurity across your entire company, they know that you're not just going to go out of business one day.
Right.
That happens often.
Oh,
There will be a
yes.
cyber attack that happens, and somebody just ends up going out of business because of either directly or indirectly, they can't keep the lights on. So
Hmm.
when a partner is working with you, they know that you are a resilient company. You're going to make sure it gets done no matter what.
Yeah.
There you go.
Love it. That was, and we appreciate that so much, Rich, because
Love working with you guys.
thank you. Well, to wrap it up with wonderful information, very, very great information that I think everybody needs to listen to. But to wrap it up, what's one piece of advice that you would give to businesses about cybersecurity?
In a very biased way, I'd say get an independent third party to
Okay.
assess where you are today and see where it matches up with where you think you are. That's
Very good.
that's what you should do. Step one. Then from
Yes.
there, all kinds of things can happen. Come up with a strategy and an implementation plan to take you from where you are to where you need to be.
Yes. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. And can you tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you so they can pick your brain with all of this wonderful intelligence that you have about cybersecurity?
I try to make that as easy as possible too. We said Lockstock Cybersecurity. You can Google that. I'm on Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the things. Richard Conor, you'll find me.
Okay, wonderful.
Lockstockcyber.com is the website.
Thank you. Thank you. And then also to our listeners, if you have any questions for Rich, you can email us at FocustChats@FocustApps.com. Will be happy to share those with him so he can reach out to you and answer those questions. And if you'd like to take a look at Focused Apps, we're at FocustApps.com. Feel free to reach out, look at the website, or give us a call. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Becky.